Hello, this is Customs Officer Matt. Thank you for downloading the Deserted podcast, and this is episode 7 of Series 3. I hope you've enjoyed the series. We've had some great people into the Customs Office. Sarah Southern, the comedian, Chris Marshall, the road geek, Jason Snell, former editorial director at Macworld magazine, and podcaster extraordinaire, Helen Quigley, voiceover to the stars and producer of BBC Radio Trails, David Sparks, lawyer, filmmaker, writer, podcaster as well, and Don McAllister as well, a educator and trainer and video screencast guru. That's what's been in Season 3. And this episode coming up marks the end of Series 3 and perhaps the end of the podcast. I'm not quite sure. This one, personal favourite of mine. This is with a prolific podcaster and British chap called Myke Hurley, who I was ever so glad to get onto the podcast, and I've been trying to get on for months and months. So this is our Christmas special, my chat with Myke Hurley of Relay.fm. Enjoy and Merry Christmas. Welcome to Deserted. Each episode, we welcome a guest into the Customs Office. There, they must decide which 5 items they want to take with them onto the deserted island. 5 items, 1 island. This is Deserted. Myke Hurley is a podcaster from London, England. He co-founded the Relay FM podcast network, found at Relay.fm in 2014. Currently hosts more shows that he can keep count of. Myke, welcome to the Customs Office.
Hi. I guess I'm happy to be here, or my circumstances have just led me here.
I was thinking about this because the day that we are recording is the day before a lot of Apple gadgets come out.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking this is rather unfortunate timing for you being in the Customs Office.
Well, I guess it doesn't matter anymore, right?
No.
Well, time's up, I suppose.
It's time to go onto the island.
Yep. Okay.
Enforced stay.
Yeah, I have many questions.
Yes.
About the world that we're inhabiting and its rules. Why is this happening to me?
Because
you need a break.
I felt you needed time and a chance to regroup after your frantic few months.
Okay, fine. That's fine. I can accept that.
And it's a nice opportunity to think about life in a simpler way, perhaps. Mm-hmm. Depends what the island's like. We're going to go through Myke's choice of website, podcast, Twitter feed, book, and a gadget or device. And you can find links to all of these choices at desertedpodcast.com/Myke. That's MYKE, or in your podcast app of choice. We are going to start with a website. I've got my approved, disapproved stamp here. And so which website is it that you are going to take to the desert island?
All right, so spend some time thinking about this, right? Because I was allowed kind of information and entertainment, but not social media stuff, right?
No, information sites, applications, games, entertainment, but not media networks such as movies and TV on demand, social network.
I appreciate the Wikipedia entry that you just give me Wikipedia.
That's by default.
That's good, because there's stuff I'm going to need to know.
Mushrooms, we normally look up on Wikipedia to make sure they're edible.
Exactly. So I am a fan of professional wrestling.
Okay.
That is one of the things that I have held in my life since I was a wee lad. It is effectively for me like a soap opera, because for people that don't know about professional wrestling in its current form, it is effectively story driven. There are stories that run from a week to week basis. So I thought it would be nice to have some kind of ongoing entertainment that never ends, that could keep me occupied. So WWE.com would be my answer, because what I would get, they do recaps and news of everything that's happening, so I can read everything. Now, they have video clips. Is that permitted?
So we're unsure of the bandwidth on the island.
Okay.
So I'm unsure whether they're going to load very well or be a bit jittery.
That's fine.
That
might be the problem.
Annoying.
But at least I can read it.
Are there text? Is there text
it's very
stories?
text heavy.
Right.
So they go through each of the shows and detail all of the goings on. So I figured this would be a way to do 2 things to give me some form of entertainment and also a sense of time. Because I know that every week the new things will hit, so it will keep giving me a sense of time as time marches on, which might be a good thing, might be a bad thing, but it will at least give some structure to my life, because I know that like Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays there's going to be new recaps.
So I don't know much about wrestling.
That's
Do they wrestle on a certain day of the week?
3 days a week is the main shows.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
It happens on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but because of the time difference, depending on where I am, I would either get the reports on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
And these are Americans?
It's all in America. Well, by and large.
Right.
There is some stuff happening in England too, but it's mostly America.
Because I remember that my only bit of wrestling was obviously just wrestling in the Big Daddy era of Match of the Day kind of
World
thing.
of Sport. You know that's back on ITV right now, yeah.
And then I do remember what was called WWF when I was
Stone
at
Cold Steve
school.
Austin. Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan and The Undertaker.
The Undertaker's still in it.
Is he really?
He's still doing it.
He's not
Same
dead.
guy.
He's not
well, he's always been dead. But,
okay.
Right, yeah. Same guy, still doing it. He's in his like late 50s, early 60s, I think.
Goodness me.
He's still wrestling. He's wrestling in like 2 weeks' time. He doesn't stop. The guy is a legend.
And so I get your arguments for why you want to take it onto the island in terms of the passing of time and something to look forward to. And we also agree here in the customs office, it is nice to be able to take your mind off the situations that you're finding yourself in as you try to survive. What is it about the WWE that you like? What is it?
So there's two things. I like the athletic stuff, right? The actual matches. I like the entertainment and the excitement that come from watching them, because they are really, these people are incredibly athletic and creative, you know, so it's very exciting to watch. But considering I won't have that component because there's no video, I say, like, for me, it's like how people watch EastEnders or insert name of American soap opera, I don't know, Days of Our Lives, I don't know, Friends.
It's just escapism.
It is just an element of, like, there are these characters and the characters are doing things and their stories, and something that wrestling fans love to do, because we all know it's fake, right? There's the new kind of, the more recent element is that people try and what's called fantasy book the show, which means you come up with what you think they should do.
Okay.
Because we know the storylines are written and, you know, it's all manufactured. The smart fan tries to be like, well, I think they should do it this way to resolve the storyline in this way. So there's also a lot of just like mental entertainment that can be taken from it. Like, I read something, I'll see something, I'm like, that's interesting that they went in that direction. I would have done it this way because I think that would be more entertaining. So that's one of the reasons that, like, adults will watch it now, is like they appreciate the spectacle of it and the story, but then also think about how they would like to see it unfold. And
are there like league tables as to
not really
who's winning?
There's champions. Right. So there are, like, in each of the kind of major categories, they have champions, and the champions hold the belt and the champion's number one. But, like, all of that it's just decided by the management of the company who the champion's going to be, right? But it adds this kind of meta layer to everything, which can be quite fascinating. Like, because it's still a company, it's still an organization. So the people that operate best inside of the company maybe get the best chances, and this is like the real part of it. Okay. So it's like it's multi-tiered. If you're an adult who cares about it now, there's like all these different avenues that go to it. And I appreciate that many people think that it's silly, and I get that, and I kind of, at this point, I don't care. No. I kept this as a secret part of my life for a long time, and then I just decided that I didn't care anymore. Everyone has their thing, and this is just my thing.
And so is it just one company, or is it like...
There are lots of companies, but the WWE, which was the WWF, they're the biggest game in town. There's no big game in town anymore. Other big game used to be WCW when we were kids, right? Where it was the two of them.
Okay.
But there are lots of small companies now, but there's no other big company in the Western world. There's some stuff in Japan.
But do the wrestlers all work for that company?
No.
Or is it like the Formula One where there's,
Oh, okay. So
different companies and different drivers?
everybody on WWE programming works for the WWE and only.
Oh, okay.
But there are other organizations around the world which are more mixed up because none of them are as big, so they share talent.
Okay.
But if you are part of the WWE, that's it. That's where you work for.
Okay, it's decision time.
Okay.
World Wrestling Entertainment at WWE.com.
This is nerve-wracking.
As always, I can't find a reason to say no. So I'm going to have to say approve.
I felt like we were on the edge there for a second.
No, you're okay. It's Christmas time, so,
Okay.
This
Joy.
This will be
Oh, well. Ho, ho, ho.
joy to all men and wrestlers. So that is Myke Hurley's choice of website. We're going to move on to his Twitter feed shortly, and it's a rather cute Twitter feed choice, it must be said. But first, what is it that you are going to fill your ears with apart from the screeching of seagulls and various other island-based animals?
I spent some time thinking about this. So I have kind of like, these days, I have two types of podcasts that I listen to, by and large. They're either technology-based or they are kind of comedic personality-based, by and large. Considering that I'm going to be deserted on this island, possibly for the rest of my days on this earth, I didn't want to choose a technology show because I can't have anything anybody's talking about. So I would just be sad. Even though I love them and most of my friends have these shows, so it might be nice to hear from them once in a while, I figured that it would ultimately just be some kind of form of torture, which is why similarly I didn't pick like Mac Stories on 9 to 5 Mac or whatever as my website of choice because I can't have any of the stuff. So I have also chosen my favorite podcast of all time, which is The Adventure Zone. So the McElroy brothers and their dad play originally Dungeons and Dragons, but it's tabletop games, collaborative. It is of a very popular podcast genre now called real play, which means people playing a role-playing game and talk as part of the show. So the show is based around playing the role-playing game. It started as a kind of a joke for them, but then turned into, and I say this with trying to use as little hyperbole as I can, as one of, if not my favorite fictional story of all time. So it starts off and they are playing a typical Dungeons and Dragons campaign. They're just playing one from the book that you get. And Griffin, one of the brothers who is the dungeon master, so he's the person, who is like creating the rules of the game, and then the other two brothers and their dad are playing characters in the story. So Griffin starts to mutate the story and creates his own story. There are 69 episodes in the original campaign, the original arc, they call it, and there are like 5 or 6 campaigns within this arc of these characters. And it is absolutely enthralling and incredible. Like, in the final episode, I just bawled my eyes out at the end of it, as has basically everyone that I know that's listened to the entire thing, because it took them like 4 years to play it. And I listened back over the span of a couple of months when I found it when it was wrapping up to the final episode of the original kind of season or run, as it were. So I binged the entire thing and just became incredibly emotionally attached to the characters. They now play a different game with a different set of characters, which I love and I'm growing to really love, because it's all brand new. So the Adventure Zone is a world in and of itself, which again provides me with some escapism. It is hilarious and infinitely re-listenable. I could listen to that story a million times. I've not yet gone back, but I have episode 1 downloaded in my podcast app of choice to just start picking up again, which would be very useful to me now that I can only listen to the Adventure Zone for the rest of the time.
So they've done how many seasons? They're on their second one? Or?
So it's they break this down. The verbiage that they use is campaigns and arcs. So they've done one arc, and that arc was 69 episodes in the original world with the original 3 characters that they created. But there were like 5 campaigns within that arc, so 5 kind of mini stories, but they were all connected in a larger story. And then they played around for a while doing some experimental things to try and find what they wanted to do. That didn't last for very long. And now they are into their second campaign of the second arc with brand new characters in a new world.
So it's active at the moment, so you'll get new ones.
It's currently
on the island,
active, yeah.
And you'll be able to go back.
Oh, I do get the new ones?
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's good.
Again, we're unsure of the bandwidth, and we thought that the RSS enclosure would be coconut shells, but we're not quite sure.
Okay.
And is their dad, into it?
What do you mean?
Does the dad know what's going on?
Yeah.
Or, right, so
he's totally in on it. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
He's not just been pulled along and kind of, what is this you're talking about?
He was a radio professional.
Okay.
In their hometown, and has also written comic books and stuff like that. It turns out, actually, they very recently turned the first campaign into a graphic novel of their own, which he wrote. So he's very into it. But as comic relief, because he's not as sharp as the boys, which adds more comic relief to the show. It's very, very funny.
So you shouting at your into space going, no, don't do that. Why are you
He can
doing
never
that?
remember any of his abilities.
Oh, okay.
Even sometimes forgetting the name of his character a little bit. I've seen the show live too.
Okay.
In Seattle.
Right.
Last year. Well, I was actually in Tacoma, but it's incredible to see live.
Yeah, because you would imagine playing a board game. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know whether using the name board game is the right terminology, but playing a board game would be a bit more of a visual thing than an audio thing. But
well, there's no So Dungeons and Dragons doesn't really require pieces or a map. You can tell it all with it's all told in story anyway, but by and large. So it actually translates to podcasting very nicely, which is why there are so many of these types of shows popping up now, because the kind of format of a role-playing game fits very, very well to audio. It, in theory, should actually fit worse to live shows because it is just 4 guys sitting behind desks trying to paint a picture of a world. But it works because they're incredibly entertaining, so it's fun to see them. And plus, a lot of the people in the audience dress up as characters.
And this one brother who's the
Griffin, the dungeon master.
He is like just making it up on the top of his head.
Yeah, it's entirely his creation.
Wow.
So, okay, so he has like an outline of where it's going to go, but considering everybody else doesn't know, they just make decisions. So sometimes it veers into places that are wildly different to what Griffin expected. They do a thing once or twice a year called the Adventure Zone, which is like, you get those TV shows that are about a TV show.
Yes.
It's that.
Okay.
Right, so like The Walking Dead has the Talking Dead or whatever. It's that. So they do like as a bonus episode, like as a fun thing once or twice a year, where the listeners ask questions. And it's always interesting to hear Griffin explain, like, oh, I was intending to go this way, but then Travis did this, so I've had to create on the fly this new. Right. And also Griffin composes original music for every episode. It's a masterpiece. Wow. I love it so much.
Okay. I'm going to have to listen at maximumfun.org is the website for the Adventure Zone. I don't think I'm going to think about this for much longer. I think that's going for approved.
That's the big one, honestly. Well, maybe my next one.
Maybe your next one.
But I do have some questions about the Twitter feed. All right, so in the website section, I'm not allowed access to Twitter.
No.
But I can get this one Twitter account.
And there is a sub-clause.
Okay.
The Twitter account can't be something that you've manufactured to sort of be a bot of any kind where it's pulling in a list of it needs to be one person.
But I obviously can't log in, can I?
No.
And I can't for some reason cannot access anything other than just this one account.
We're not actually sure whether the tweets will be on a digital display or whether they will somehow appear in messages in a bottle.
There you go. You've untangled my logic puzzle.
Yeah,
they could arrive in some medium It's just access to these tweets. They could be texted to a device, for example.
Yeah, or they could be, you could come down to the beach in the morning and they'll be spelt out in stones or twigs.
Which is in a similar vein. How do I receive the website and the audio for the podcast?
We're unsure.
We just know that it somehow will arrive. Maybe I received the podcast in reel-to-reel tapes.
You never know.
That would be quite nice, actually. I think I would quite enjoy that.
It would be a revenge of analog.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would actually quite like some kind of physical medium like that. That would be fun.
Yeah, we're not quite sure.
Right.
I've never attended the island because I don't want to.
Because you get stuck.
So we are going to find out which Twitter feed Myke is going to follow, and we'll also be looking at Myke's gadget or device, which is an interesting one. I've got some good questions about that one, and also the book as well, which will give us perhaps an insight as to how long your stay will be on the island. These available at desertedpodcast.com/Myke or in your podcast app of choice. Just look in the show notes there. What is the Twitter feed? And like I said, you can see tweets from just one account. Which one is it?
So again, I started thinking about like what do I want? Like what kind of information do I realistically want to receive? And again, it's like following most of the accounts that I currently follow would be by and large pointless and torture. You know, like you're finding out information about stuff I can't have access to kind of would be a disaster. I don't want that. So I decided the only account that I would want to see is my wife's account. Her account is at Adina with 3 A's at the end. And she doesn't tweet.
So on the docket here, I've got the words, in the hopes that she would tweet messages to the world that I could see, so I would know how she was doing.
Exactly. So my thinking would be if I was somehow taken away to this island, and also because in theory she can hear this, right? Like this is my last known communication with the Earth, that she could take this upon herself as a requirement to start tweeting and just saying stuff, what she's up to, you know. And again, I know that by my standards of torture, this is pretty high on that list.
That's my concern.
But I feel like if I'm going to find out absolutely anything about the world outside, it's always going to be tough. I may as well at least have my worries set aside that she's okay.
Yeah.
Would be my thinking. I'm a newlywed, so I'm maybe a little bit more sickly in this department than most people.
No. I think whenever someone goes away traveling, even if it's for a short time, they want to know that kind of stuff.
Exactly. This is hopefully only a short trip, but nobody really knows.
No one knows. Okay, so Adina, I am concerned about your mental health in terms of the torture aspects of it.
What do people usually go for?
Oh,
what types of things do they keep in the Twitter account? I want to know if I've made a fatal error here.
Some of them have been technology news based.
Yeah, it seems like a bad idea.
Some of them, I had one which was basically are you aware of the band They Might Be Giants? It was a Twitter account which gave some lyrics from They Might Be Giants songs.
Oh, that's nice.
And so the person that was getting those would then sing that song for the rest of the day. And it was every day that they would tweet some song lyrics.
That's a good idea. I like that one.
So that enabled them to be a bit more cheerful. As well as your mental health, I'm also slightly concerned about Adina's mental health.
Well, I mean,
this issue.
I'm going anyway. She's going to be all right. She'll find something to do.
Yeah, but I'm a bit concerned about her need to tweet in order to get messages to you, but also her need to get on with life.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I feel like we're hurtling towards a rejection here.
And potentially her thinking, I better not. I won't tweet that picture of me having fun because, you know.
Oh, you know what? You've maybe sold me on this one. So what happens if this is rejected? Do I just lose access to a Twitter account?
Yeah, it's just not taken to the island.
Oof.
Do you understand my concern?
Yeah, no, it's a very valid point. All right, let me think of something else then. because I don't want to lose any of my benefits here. It's a very good point, actually. I hadn't thought of that. It's not so much my problem as much as it is hers.
Although maybe she would,
No,
in the nicest possible way, she might put her fun things, quote fun things, that she doesn't necessarily.
No, it's
annoy you with
actually
somewhere else.
a lot of it's a lot to put on her because she has to keep trying to find ways to make me feel good. So let's get rid of that. I feel like this isn't good for her to do this. So what can I follow instead? I feel like now it's just got to be something kind of junky, really. Like there's not really much good to it. I can't really think of anything specific that I would particularly want, because now I feel like it shouldn't really be a person for those same reasons.
Or would you, for example, is there a WWE Twitter feed?
No, it's too much. It's too much.
But then you could change your website, you see.
No, I'm good with my website choice.
Okay.
I like the website choice works pretty well for what I was looking for, because the Twitter feed doesn't give me the information that the website would, because I would assume I can't follow links.
No.
I don't know.
Okay, well, think on it, and we'll maybe come back to it.
Come back to it.
Okay, so at the moment, it's in no man's land.
Yep.
All right? We're putting Adina in no man's land in the nicest possible way.
Hang on a second.
Right then. We're going to have fun with gadget or device, but let's talk about book, first of all. It can be a printed book or an e-book, but not a periodical. Mm-hmm. What have you decided? Is it a practical choice? I can see it is.
Yeah, because I don't really read books very often, actually at all. So I don't have like a favorite book that I particularly would want to bring. And I've already picked 2 fictional sources of entertainment. So considering I'm going to be on an island, I thought like, well, I'm going to need something to kind of help me deal with the wilderness or whatever. So I chose How to Stay Alive by Bear Grylls as my choice for a book. I haven't read this book, but I'm judging by the title that it could be useful for me in the wilderness, considering I am not a very wilderness person.
No. So you co-host a podcast called Upgrade with Jason Snell. Mm-hmm. And I did hear a few episodes ago, there was a question around if one of you had to go to a desert island, how do you think it would get on? And Jason thought he would be fine, and you thought you were in peril.
Yeah, I would last about 25 minutes without.
Which I played to the other customs officers, and we had a good laugh at that Friday afternoon. So nobody knows survival like Bear Grylls. There's barely a terrain that he hasn't conquered or an extreme environment he hasn't experienced.
Yep. So I figured Deserted Island should be a piece of cake for old Bear. Isn't it great that his name's Bear, by the way?
It is. And I don't know why.
I feel like if your name was Bear, you would be like... If your name was Bear Grylls, if that was your name, you would do what he does.
Yeah.
There is nobody in the world whose name would be Bear Grylls, and they would not be a survival expert.
Or a chef.
I like it.
Yeah?
Dealing in exotic meats only.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. Roadkill Cafe. For the first time, he's putting all his experience and expertise into one book.
And look, this is I chose specifically.
So I already know the answer to the question, are you handy? Which seems to be no.
Not particularly.
Have you ever camped under canvas before?
Well, I went to a music festival a couple of times.
Okay. Have you ever started a fire without matches?
I feel like I have, actually.
Okay.
I think I have done that in
Flints
school.
and tinder.
Yeah, I think we did this like those school weekends away.
Oh yeah.
And I think we did fire. I think we made fires.
All right. Are you going to keep it as a reference or use it as fire starting material after you've digested the information?
I don't know. I probably would keep it as a reference.
All right.
I feel like I could probably find some other fire starting material. Would be my hope that that there would be something that I could use.
One of the things that Bear talks about in his book is how to make fire from virtually nothing.
There you go. See, that's easy. Make it from sand and water, right?
Yeah,
I guess so.
And how to survive the most extreme conditions.
I do have a problem with that statement. Making fire from virtually nothing.
Yeah,
I feel like that's bull, Bear. Like that's not true.
No.
there's definitely something. Probably quite a lot of thing. It depends where you are.
And the virtually nothing needs to be something
What
that's
if I'm in the Antarctic? Can I make it from virtually nothing there, Bear? Is that what you're telling me? I don't know what I think about this. I haven't, as I say, I have not read this book. You have done more research on this book than I have. I went to Amazon and typed in Bear Grylls and picked the top choice because,
I thought you'd done a title search on how to stay alive on a desert island.
I just thought to myself, who do I know that knows this? Bear knows this.
Right.
So I just went with Bear's number one.
And you are going with a printed book, or are you going on ebook?
Why would I read the ebook?
Just
Who
you
knows?
might.
I'm going to say ebook then, because I feel like I'm assuming if I'm given an ebook, I'll have something to read the ebook on, and the ebook is probably. But then what about battery?
I would go personally.
I'm going to go paper
with
book,
printed book
because I was thinking the paper book could get ruined, which is true, but I feel like so could the ebook device. I'm going to go with paper book.
Okay,
I haven't thought of a Twitter feed, by the way.
that's all right.
I haven't got one.
That's fine. How to Stay Alive is Less to Take Onto the Island. How to Stay Alive by Bear Grylls, printed book.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever had somebody before who gave up an option? Or would I be the first person to do that?
No, well, we've had some disapproved stuff.
You haven't actually formally disapproved it.
No. I don't think we've ever had anything in No Man's Land. Maybe the second season.
I'm fine with establishing something new. I could call it Mike's Land.
Yeah.
Would you be happy with that?
When you go there, if you can find a particularly barren bit of the island and just hammer in with a rock a little stake,
okay,
then people will know that for anyone else.
The disapproved area.
Yeah.
Well, not
that's
not a disapproved area.
Yeah,
they just like give up.
Barren land.
I'd be fine.
Mind blank.
Okay.
Land.
Okay.
Okay. Interesting, because a lot of this information you could get from Wikipedia. It might not be true, but you could get it from Wikipedia.
I feel like I need to have someone talking me through it in a kind of a more motivational way than Wikipedia
And
would
a trusted source.
It's a starting point, right? Because like I feel like for Wikipedia, you've got to be able to enter something. You know, like you have to know what you're looking for before you begin.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm looking for when it comes to trying to stay alive in the elements.
Okay.
So I need Bear's advice.
Okay. I'm going with approved.
Excellent.
Going with approved on that. How to Stay Alive by Bear Grylls. You can get link to it to take you off to Amazon.
I would doubt that anybody wants to read it. I feel like if you wanted to read that book, you'd already have read it. I don't think anyone's listening to this and they're like, ooh, that's a good idea.
I've wanted to know how to stay alive. And I've wanted Bear's viewpoint on it.
A book could provide me with that information. Yeah. So I guess it is in the show notes if you do need it, but I'm not sure.
We'll go with that.
Okay.
How to Stay Alive by Bear Grylls. So obviously, this information that you'll be reading and learning about, how to drive off-road, how to navigate using the stars, administer some first aid, that might potentially mean that you need some sort of gadget or device to go along to help you stay alive.
I think so, wouldn't you?
Which I imagine we'd now be coming on to as part of your gadget or device.
Absolutely not, no. The gadget or device was an interesting question based upon, again, the rules provided that it cannot be a computer, mobile phone, or broadcast communications or internet access device. This was why I had my all of my original set of questions for the islands kind of rules set around this, because it's like, well, how do I get access to Wikipedia or the podcast or the website if I can't have a broadcast communication or internet access device? But the question has been answered in who knows how this information arrives. It just arrives.
Yeah.
Is Wikipedia like a encyclopedia book? Maybe
We did think about that. But
someone did print Wikipedia recently, so just gotta get a copy of that. I want the Nintendo Switch.
Okay. Is this mentioned in Bear's book? No.
Yeah, it is. It's on the last page.
Right, okay, yeah.
He said, can't forget the Nintendo Switch.
Right.
Again, I haven't read Bear's book yet, so I don't know what he might recommend. I can't imagine Bear would really recommend any gadgets, to be honest.
No, I can't imagine he's that
very gadget focused.
Gadget focused, apart from like some gadget to filter water or something.
Or like some kind of GPS watch that calls a helicopter.
Yeah.
those things are pretty impressive.
Yeah.
No, I want to still be able to play video games.
Right. So why? This is another take you away from it all type thing?
You can fill a lot of time with video games. I like video games a lot. Like, I don't want to read anything ever, really, other than Bear Grylls' wonderful tome. I love the Nintendo Switch. It's my favorite video games console of all time. So I was thinking about all of the gadgets that I care about don't meet the rules except the Switch. So that's kind of what I would want, because then I could, after Bear has taught me how to build a hammock, I could be on the island in my little hammock playing Legend of Zelda, which is kind of funny because he's on islands, really. So maybe I could learn something from Link too. Who knows?
As something creeps up on you and gets ready to devour you and
Hang on a second.
in your camp.
Where am I? What is this place?
Well, I'm just saying it might happen. You might be
but I'll be
distracted.
fine because Bear will have.
You would have.
He would have helped out beforehand.
What game would you take? Or would
Am
you
I
take
only allowed one game?
Not sure.
How is this gadget provided? Do I take my own?
No, we can provide the gadget.
I prefer to take my own. It's got a lot of games on it.
Okay. I think we'll allow multiple games because you're not taking a Twitter feed. So
But we have to prearrange the games now.
Well, they can't get to the island.
So I have to take the cartridges. All right, so Legend of Zelda, obviously, because it's brilliant. It's my favorite game of all time. But I need some variation. How many do I get?
Let's say 3.
3. 3 is a good number. It's a magic number. Mario Kart for some variants. Stardew Valley.
Okay.
Because that's also farming, which could help me. It won't help me. But The Legend of Zelda and Stardew Valley are games that are very expansive. So I could play them for a very, very long time, which I hope would be useful.
All right. I'm concerned about batteries, but because it eats batteries quite a lot.
Well, it needs a plug. Well, I'm assuming any gadget does, though. Any gadget needs power.
We've had a lot of pen knives as the gadget or device.
Oh, darn it. Okay.
To kind of give you a head start in...
Gadget's the wrong word, isn't it?
Well, that's why it's followed by...
Can I follow a pen knife Twitter account with that?
That might be torture of some variety.
No, I'm sticking with the Switch.
The Nintendo Switch.
I wouldn't know how to use a pen knife effectively.
Okay, I mean, I've reached a stage, and I think I reached this with a previous entry, where I kind of thought you're not going to stay alive for very long, so you might as well enjoy your time while you're on the island. Mm-hmm. So,
but now it's all changed because I have Bear.
Well,
that book is as good to me as the fire I can make from it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's one of those things where you may well read the book and you may well understand what he's saying.
Can I use any practical application of it?
Yeah. When he kind of says, "Oh, make a shepherd's knot and tie it to this tree with a vine," then...
So the Nintendo Switch on average gets about 3 to 6 hours of battery life. Am I going to get more than one charge? Am I going to last more than one charge on this island, do you think?
Let's hope so. Let's go into this positively as you board the plane. I mean,
I'm still not 100% sure of why this is happening. This started off as like, I'm going to give you a nice little break, and now we're just talking about my inevitable quick death.
You never know. We wish you all the best. Do you think this follows up rather nicely? Do you think you will enjoy your time on the island?
Well, I'd assumed I was going to.
Okay, but now you're not so.
No, I'm not so sure. I mean, I was going into this in the idea that it would be an enjoyable experience, but this situation has unfolded into such a way where I believe it might not be.
Okay, let's try and resurrect this.
Okay.
I don't want you to go into a spiral of despair.
Yeah.
Before you're on the airplane. That's
probably a good idea.
Because we've only got 2 security
Switch
guards.
is good for the plane too.
Okay. You might want to look out the window.
It's pointless.
You might. A Nintendo Switch. So yes. So I'm going with approved on this because hey,
I already lost one.
You might as well enjoy yourself there with your Nintendo Switch, and we'll give you a pack of batteries.
Okay.
And maybe in Bear's magic book, it'll be how to make power from virtually nothing.
I feel like it's probably chapter 4.
Yeah.
How to create an
Power.
AC adapter out of virtually nothing. He's
Power
very
generation.
resourceful, his old Bear.
Yeah.
He just, like those hydroelectricity, he's going to help me make a dam.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll all be in that
It's all in there. I'm very confident.
All be in that book.
It does say that the description that you read, which I did not read, did say that all of his best information was in that book. So if it's going to be in any of them, it's going to be in this one.
Yeah. Over the years, from his time in 21 SAS through to his extraordinary expeditions climbing and paragliding over Everest,
I don't want to paraglide.
he has accumulated an astonishing wealth of survival knowledge. So it's all in there.
Why did he paraglide over Everest?
You reach a stage where you're just like, hey, I might as well
I
paraglide.
could do anything. There's nothing else left to do.
And
I've already climbed
he's
it.
already written the chapter on how to paraglide with virtually nothing. So he'll be
Except for a paraglider.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you, Myke. We do hope that you enjoy your time on the island.
Thank you.
You can find all the links to what we have been talking about. So you can buy the book too at desertedpodcast.com/Myke. You can find Myke at relay.fm and on Twitter.
For now.
At iMyke before he takes his sabbatical trip. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Deserted. To listen to previous episodes, either subscribe in Apple Podcasts, your podcast app of choice, or head to desertedpodcast.com. Please leave a review on iTunes, and if you want to send a message in a bottle with feedback, or you would like to be on a future episode, send it to customs@desertedpodcast.com.